Hey, what's going on, guys? Norsky here, and in this video I'm gonna go through the top 5 submachine guns in Call of Duty WW2. Now, the order of this top 5 is all based on my opinion. Currently there are 7 guns in the SMG class. There was only 6 guns, but they just added in the Sten through DLC. The only way you can unlock the Sten is if you happen to get it in a supply drop, and good luck with that, but I'm not going to include the Sten in this top 5 just because most people won't be able to play with it. Which means we'll have 6 guns in this top 5, so the worst gun in this class will just get an honorable mention. Also, after the video, leave a comment of your top 5 SMGs from Call of Duty WW2. With that being said, let's get this video started. Coming in at the number 5 spot, we have the MP40. When I first unlocked this gun, I was pretty excited to see how it would perform, and I have to say, it doesn't disappoint, but the MP40 doesn't really impress me either. The MP40 has good accuracy with fairly low recoil. It surprisingly has decent range too. The reason it only comes in at number 5 is because it feels underpowered. Honestly, the SMG class as a whole is underpowered, but the MP40 feels really underpowered. This gun is a hit marker machine. I swear, this gun is one of the most difficult to get multi-kills with in the entire game. The MP40 is one of my favorite guns from the World War II time period, but there's nothing really special about it in CoD World War II. Hopefully they give the MP40 a buff so it can be a solid gun at least, since it is one of my favorite guns historically. I still enjoy using it, and that's why it comes in at number 5. Moving on to the number 4 spot, we have the M1928, or the Thompson, or the Tommy gun. The reason I put the Thompson ahead of the MP40 is because it doesn't feel super weak, or as underpowered. This gun is very solid overall. I personally think that it doesn't really have any noticeable weaknesses. It also doesn't really have any strengths either, which is why I would classify this gun as only being solid. If I had to pick the Thompson's biggest strength, I would probably say it's time to kill. This gun also has a fairly high rate of fire, which makes this gun one of the best in close quarters. At long range, this gun can get kind of squirrely, so you definitely want to add grip to it so it can lower the recoil and become viable at all ranges. This gun is so fun to use, especially if you are playing aggressively. Running and gunning is definitely recommended when using the M1928. Playing with this gun can be a nice change, especially if you always use the PPSH 41 or some other SMG. You rarely ever see anybody use the M1928, probably because you can't unlock it until I think rank 52 or 53. But yeah, give the Tommy gun a chance because it's a pretty decent SMG. Coming in at the number 3 spot, we have the grease gun. Don't underestimate the grease gun because it might end up surprising you. When I first started using the grease gun, I thought it was one of the worst guns in the game, so I didn't touch it for a while, until I noticed that I was getting killed by the grease gun more frequently, and that honestly was the reason I gave it another chance. It turned into one of my favorite guns in the game, and I think it's probably one of the most underrated guns in the game. It does have some flaws, like its rate of fire is the slowest out of all the SMGs, but having a slower fire rate makes this gun really accurate, and it also has really good control. The grease gun is a lot like an assault rifle in that aspect. I can't forget to mention that the grease gun also has great range for an SMG. The grease gun really isn't the run and gun type, but more of a slow and methodical type, and if that's your play style, well then the grease gun was made for you. It can't really compete with the other SMGs at close range, but it can still hold its own against other classes at close range. It's definitely an enjoyable gun to play with, just because the gun's characteristics are so much different compared to the rest of the SMGs in the game, and that's why it comes in at number 3. Coming in at the number 2 spot, we have the Type 100. This is the SMG that I've been using lately, and it's amazing. It has pinpoint accuracy at all ranges. Honestly, the Type 100 does pretty much everything good. It's the best long-ranged SMG in the game by far. The Type 100 is one of those guns where the stats and numbers don't really look all that impressive, but once you actually start playing with it, it's surprisingly good. The Type 100 can compete with almost any gun at close and medium range. This gun has to be one of the most versatile SMGs in Call of Duty World War II. Personally, whenever I use this gun, I always seem to have pretty efficient games, more so than any other gun in the SMG class. The Type 100 is just an all-around good, consistent gun, and that's why it comes in at my number 2 spot. Now, before I reveal my number 1 gun, we have our honorable mention, which is the PPSH 41. Just kidding, it's actually the Waffe 28. The Waffe 28 has the fastest rate of fire out of all the SMGs in Call of Duty World War II. Yes, even faster than the PPSH and Thompson. The Waffe 28 is one of the most effective guns in close quarters. At medium and long range this gun is pretty worthless, but for me whenever I use this gun I always seem to get a ton of hit markers unless I'm like within 5 feet of my enemy. For this gun to be effective you'll have to treat it as if you're running with a shotgun. With that being said, if you use the Waffe 28 to the right type of play style, it can be a pretty viable gun. Now, coming in at the number 1 spot, most people should already know, it's the PPSH 41. What can I say except this gun is just a force to be reckoned with. In close quarters, there's no better gun to have than the PPSH 41. It is seriously an amazing weapon. It's definitely a top 5 gun in the whole game, in my opinion. It has a super fast rate of fire, but not quite as fast as the Waffe 28 as I just mentioned, but it still shoots pretty damn quick. It also has an amazing amount of power for an SMG. It can melt people in an instant. The fast rate of fire and amazing damage output that it has makes for quite the deadly gun. The PPSH also has to be one of the easiest guns to get multi-kills with in this game. I see people getting double, triple kills all the time, and even once in a while a Fury and Frenzy kills. And that's only using the PPSH 41. This gun overall is really impressive. I will say that it's definitely not the perfect gun because anything past medium range with this gun, it becomes not so hot. The overall accuracy of this gun is also not the greatest, but even with those flaws, the PPSH 41 is by far the most dominant SMG in CoD World War II, at this moment at least. And that's why it comes in at my number 1 spot. I already know this top 5 will be somewhat controversial, because I know that not everyone is going to agree with my opinion. I want you guys to leave me a comment of your top 5 SMGs in Call of Duty World War II, just because I'm really curious to hear all of your opinions too. Anyways, thanks for watching. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, and also feel free to subscribe if you happen to be new to my channel. Thanks again, and I'll catch you guys later.